Thanks, Julie. As she noted, my name's Lauren Schubert. I'm the program head for the Prosthetics and Orthotics program. I graduated from this program myself back in 2010, and I've been practicing as a certified prosthetist and involved in education ever since. It's an incredibly exciting and rewarding career, and I look forward to being able to share a little bit about the profession and about our program over the next hour. So first up, we'd like to share a little video that was created by our national organization, Orthotics Prosthetics Canada, that gives you a bit of a preview into the kind of day-to-day of a prosthetist or orthotist upon graduation.
Many people in our community require the use of prosthetic and orthotic treatment. A prosthetist provides treatment for patients with limb loss. This treatment includes the provision of an artificial limb, known as a prosthesis. An orthotist provides treatment for patients with physical impairments. This treatment includes the provision of an orthopedic brace, known as an orthosis. Both professions require patient assessments, fittings, and follow-up care as part of the treatment process.
I think an aspect of prosthetics orthotics that most people don't understand is that we're quite unique in the fact that we get to see a patient or a client from the very beginning of their treatment process, and you get to be influential and part of the rehab team right through to the end. The really neat thing is that you make lifelong relationships with these people, so those patients become your patients for life, and so you see them ongoing. Even once the rest of the rehab team is gone, you're still involved with their care long term. And in fact, most amputees in particular consider their prosthetist their primary health care provider, the ones that they find a really important part of their care. And orthotically speaking, I think we have a very unique approach to patient care, and that again we see the whole picture from start to finish. We have the ability to modify that treatment program, to make adjustments, to intervene and to make changes, and to go to the table with different types of options for them that are a really important part of taking them to the next level.
About 3.5 months ago I had a skiing accident. They've prescribed me with this knee brace. The foot thing is basically allows me to walk as I would normally without an injury.
An undergraduate degree is a prerequisite to the 2-year diploma program, followed by a 2-year residency. A certification exam must be completed at the end of the residency to ensure qualification.
I like that right away we get our patient experience, and I also like that once a week we get to do rotations around the city so that we can, for instance, we shadow orthopedic surgeons, physiatrists, physiotherapists, and we get to see patients from a different perspective. So we get to see them from the physiotherapist perspective and from the surgeon perspective, which is interesting when you compare it to how we see it with our own prosthetists and orthotists.
Prosthetic and orthotic practitioners work closely with other healthcare professionals such as physiotherapists and orthopedic surgeons to promote the highest standard of patient care. The field also relies heavily on the support of technicians, who are also specially trained for the prosthetic and orthotic field.
As a technical instructor, I try to teach the complexity of the manufacturing side of our profession. I try to expose them to the vast array of materials and procedures involved, so that they can take that as a working knowledge and be comfortable applying that to their patients.
Every part of it I love. There's the personal satisfaction of actually getting to make something and fabricate something. There's the satisfaction of getting to help somebody in their lives. There's the fact that it's kind of artistic and yet at the same time very engineer-like. Just literally everything about it makes me excited to come to work every single day.
My leg lets me keep up with the other people in my class, especially in PE, and be really good in goalie. And pretty much, yeah, it helps me do most of the things that acquire movement.
The prostheses, it allows me to do anything I want to do. That, to say, I cycle, I jog sometimes, I go in for long walks. It allows me to do my work. I'm on my feet most of the day. It allows me to live.
I would say that it's a creative science and an art that goes together, and you're basically using your knowledge of materials, and you're using your knowledge of biomechanics, you're using your knowledge of physics, but also interpersonal psychology and quality of life kinds of things. You're trying to create a device for somebody that they can actually use to improve their quality of life.
In our P&O profession, the people that get into it, they genuinely care about other people, and I think that's a big plus right there. And one of the biggest misconceptions, I think people think that we just make people arms or legs or give them a brace. We just deliver a product. And to me, it's just really disheartening to hear something like that, because you develop such great relationships with your patients. And I think the colleges and the universities are really preparing the students very, very well right now. And there's so much interest in research in our field. And I think it's really good that you have the chance to do a lot of research projects and things yourselves. And with that, I think the future of prosthetics and orthotics is going to be amazing. To me, it's not just doing my job, it's just getting into it. I love it. After all these years, it's just one of the best things, and I'm so happy that I picked this field over other fields.
It's exciting to be a part of this field at a time where there's so much change and so much new technologies coming out, and so it'd be exciting to see where this field is going to head in the future, and it's cool to be a part of.
With the laughing for 10 minutes.
Once.
Oh, we're in this video.
Yeah, we're good, we're good.
Okay.
If you want one of these, I'll sell it to you.
What's that? As a technical.
So,
See that on camera.
The Canadian Association for Prosthetics and Orthotics is the national professional organization for the field of prosthetics and orthotics in Canada. It represents more than 500 certified and registered practitioners across Canada and internationally. Its purpose is to promote professionalism, ongoing education, and awareness to both its members and to the public, and to encourage outstanding clinical and technical skills in the field of prosthetics and orthotics.
So as you saw in that video, a little bit of info on the role of the prosthetist and orthotist in designing, fabricating custom orthopedic devices, and then also providing a lifelong treatment to the patients that require that. Prosthetists work with those who have experienced limb loss, and orthotists work with those who have had an injury or a pathology that requires bracing or support. And as you saw in the video, it can be very rewarding and always changing, and can be challenging as well. Julie, there's just a square that's showing up, a box that's showing up in the middle of the screen there. If you're able to move that out of the way. There we go. Perfect. And then as far as the image on the right there, most of you probably know who that is in the image. It's Terry Fox, who's a hero to Canadians for his impact he made related to cancer awareness. But he's also a local hero to those in the prosthetics and orthotics profession because of how he did it. Terry ran across most of Canada using a prosthetic leg, one that was actually designed and fabricated here in Vancouver. Although quite dated technology now, our profession helped play a significant role in his life and enabled him to run all that way. So we have the amazing opportunity to help patients just like Terry to achieve their goals and return to a functional life by providing prosthetic and orthotic treatment. So a few fun facts about our program. So as you saw in the video, it really is a combination of art and science, working with your hands, working with your mind, coming up with solutions to challenges that our patients are faced with, and really making a difference in their lives. We do get to work with patients as young as a few months old, all the way to quite elderly patients, and really work with them through their lifetime. We have quite a background of different topics or courses that we include in our program, including everything from pathology, biomechanics, material sciences, and anatomy physiology. And our profession is moving very quickly with regular innovation in technology and new research being released on a regular basis. Some highlights about our program. So our program is a 2-year program. There's 4 terms, and then the summer is off in between. We are currently taking 14 students every 2 years. So we only have an every 2-year intake process, and then our students go through kind of the 2 years before a new intake comes in. So we are taking, our next intake cycle is for the class of 2024, September 2024. On top of the students' weekly classes, we also have every week, students have the opportunity to go to clinical rotation sites around the Lower Mainland, BC. And so they get to visit a variety of different healthcare professionals that they will work with once they graduate and are in the profession. So physiotherapists, occupational therapists, physiatrists, and a variety of other specialists along the way. In addition to that, we have 2 placements or practicums where students are immersed in a clinic environment for 4 weeks at a time. They do 1 in prosthetics and 1 in orthotics, and they really get to have a lot of hands-on experience and take on a lot of projects during that time and really immerse themselves in that workplace and get to know what it's going to be like upon graduation. We also have a capstone research project that our students take on that spans throughout the whole 2 years, starting from kind of the inception of the idea through to looking into that topic more so, doing an ethics application, and then conducting the original research themselves, and then presenting their findings to a theater full of family, friends, and professionals, and typically we also do it online across Canada as well. There is an option to co-enroll in the McMaster University Masters of Rehab Science program. Some of our students decide that they want to take additional courses above and beyond what our program offers, as our program is not currently a master's level program ourselves. And so that offers an avenue to take some additional courses on top of our program to gain a master's level credential. So upon graduation, our students will go into a 2-year paid residency, and they can complete that anywhere in Canada. That is completed through our national organization, Orthotics Prosthetics Canada, not directly through BCIT. Once they complete that 2-year residency, they then go on to write the national certification exam. And then as long as they pass that exam, then they can start to practice as a certified prosthetist or certified orthotist. Most of our graduates will go on to either work in a private clinic setting or maybe a hospital setting. There's quite a bit of diversity in various workplaces. It can be a small 1 clinician clinic in a remote area, or it could be a very busy clinic with many colleagues or even many sites, multiple different clinic locations. Some graduates choose to practice in prosthetics, some in orthotics, or some in both, and they can become dual certified. Typical salary or compensation for a resident is usually somewhere around $55,000, and then upon certification can range anywhere from $60,000 to over $100,000, depending on the location and the environment that you're in and years of experience. And many of our students eventually go on to own their own practices or potentially manage sites at a public hospital. So this slide showcases a little bit of kind of day-to-day life for a clinician working in prosthetics and orthotics. The top left is one of our students or graduates that is doing a patient assessment. So we work very closely with our patients in performing thorough assessments, patient history, limb evaluation, strength and range of motion testing, And then upon determining the appropriate treatment plan involving a prosthesis or orthosis, we would then capture the shape of their affected limb. So that's the top right picture there. And that can be either taken with plaster or can be a fiberglass mold or often even a digital scan of their limb, and then can be adapted digitally instead of manually. Bottom left, you can see then, in this case, this was a device that was fabricated shape capture with plaster Paris bandage, and then was filled up with plaster itself. And so the student is then manually manipulating that shape to optimize the device fit and function. And then we would fabricate the device often in-house. And then in the bottom right, the student is kind of optimizing the device itself. So we spend quite a while during the initial phases of treatment to make sure that that device fits and functions as best as it can. And then we continue to provide support for that patient and that device through the rest of either the device's lifespan or the patient's lifespan. And because that device only lasts so long, due to material breakdown or the patient requiring a change based on life circumstances or their presentation, then we would continue to make new devices as required. So this is one student testimonial that we had from a couple cohorts ago. I'll read it out loud for you. There are a couple of different factors that make me really love the profession of P&O. I enjoy the satisfaction of helping others. I like being creative when problem solving, but meticulous when follow through. And I enjoy the variety of work with my hands and my head and my hands. This profession allows me to have all of that in one place. I have the ability to connect with patients and help them meet their needs and goals. There is no one way of getting to a final answer when providing a treatment plan. So I get to use my clinical reasoning to decide what is the best course of action, which allows me to be creative. Since the devices are manufactured in-house, I also get to be creative about how those devices are designed in terms of material selection, fabrication techniques, etc. However, once that treatment plan is decided upon, I get to be meticulous and follow through to ensure the device fits properly and meets the goals of treatment. Overall, it creates a very rewarding profession to be a part of. And this was our graduate from a couple of years ago, Morgan Wankling. Next slide, please. So a little bit of transition talking about our admission process and our admission plan. So our application period for the next intake, which is September 2024, is now open as of October 1st, and it will be open until March 1st of 2024. When you apply for the program in that window doesn't make a difference. All of them will be assessed equally, whether you are the first or the last to apply within that window. But please do check out the website thoroughly in advance. There's a lot of really valuable information about what you need to include in your application, as well as just some things to be prepared for, and make sure you have all in place prior to that deadline. You don't want to be leaving that till the last minute. And then already mentioned in the presentation, so our program takes applicants from the provinces of Western Canada, so including BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And unfortunately, residents outside of Western Canada are not considered for spots in the program. So as far as the application process itself, again, I encourage you to look online and read thoroughly all of the various different areas. So review the entrance requirements and the application dates, which we just took a look at. Then you will need to complete, there's a mandatory applicant questionnaire that you'll have to download. It's in a PDF format, so you can download that, fill it out, and then attach it with your application. Another part of our application is the Casper assessment, which is an online third-party assessment tool, which looks at a variety of different non-academic skills, soft skills. And that's another factor that's used for the selection. There is an error on this particular slide. We do not require a letter of reference. You're welcome to include one if you'd like, but we don't actually need one to be included within your application. And you're welcome to include any other additional details that you feel might be valuable for the selection committee. Also required in there should be your academic transcripts for us to review. And then, as mentioned here, you'll convert all of your documents to PDF format and then apply online through the program's website. So we do have some minimum entry requirements, including English 12 or equivalent, and 67% or greater in English 12 or equivalent. We do require a bachelor's or undergraduate degree in any topic or any field. Often, most of our applicants have a degree in either kinesiology, general sciences, or engineering, but that said, we do accept any undergraduate degree. As I mentioned already, you will be required to do a CASPER assessment in advance of that application date. So make sure that you register in advance for a CASPER test date so that you can make sure that it happens before the end point of the application window for the program. And then, as I mentioned, the mandatory applicant questionnaire, which goes through a variety of questions about your motivation and experience in the field or related fields. As far as preference for a competitive application, any related experience you have specific to prosthetics and orthotics or working with people with disabilities is valuable. Any additional post-secondary courses that are related to prosthetics and orthotics can be valuable. And then we also look at a series of preferred courses. So that includes 6 credits of anatomy physiology, chemistry 12 or equivalent, 3 credits of physics, 3 credits of statistics, and 3 credits of psychology. We do look specifically for these on your transcript. So if you have them, this can be quite valuable to ensure a mandatory or a competitive application. And most of our students that do get into the program have either all of them or nearly all of them that they've taken. As well, it can be quite helpful if you've taken most of these courses in the last 5 years. Of course, sometimes there's exceptions like chemistry 12 is quite unlikely that you will have taken it in the last 5 years. But in general, recency of your academic coursework can be quite helpful. So this is just one example of a successful applicant profile. So for example, having good knowledge of the profession, whether it's through work experience or volunteer experience, at a minimum, I would recommend for a competitive application to at least reach out to a prosthetics or orthotics clinic so you can gain some insight into what it's like day to day and maybe speak to somebody who currently works in the profession. Not only will that solidify your interest in making sure this is something that you want to do, but it also helps us as a selection committee to understand that you've taken the time and that you're confident about the program and the profession and are keen to see it through to the end of the program and to gain employment in the profession. Most successful applicants have a GPA of 3.25 or higher, or approximately 85%. And we look at specifically the last 30 credits or last year of academics. And then I already mentioned the preferred courses. As well, because our students and our professionals in P&O are working directly with patients, good interpersonal skills can be quite valuable. So an interest in working with people with disabilities and having a positive and professional demeanor. On top of that, we also work a lot with our hands and require the ability to be creative and manipulate devices. So manual dexterity, the ability to work or visualize in 3D and being a good problem solver can be quite helpful as well for a successful application. So as far as the kind of timeline or process of admissions, so from the time that you send in your applications and then eventually, as I mentioned, as of March 1st, the application window closes, the admissions department will review all of the applications and screen them to make sure that everything is present, and then they'll pass them on to the department as the P&O department selection committee. and we will then review all of them, take a look at those 4 aspects of your application, including your mandatory applicant questionnaire, your academics, ensure that you have completed the CASPER assessment. And then the 4th piece is a MMI, which we will shortlist qualified applicants to receive an invite to take part in an MMI, and it'll be an online MMI. And from there, the selection committee will select the 14 students for the 2024 academic year. And then admissions will send a letter of acceptance from there.
Hi everyone, I'm back. Now, moving from the academics, I would like to let you know that BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. Here are some of the important student supports that I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our Financial Aid and Awards webpage. I would like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award. Selection is based on academic achievement, but also on volunteer and community service. Please contact Financial Aid directly for more information. With that, we have accessibility services, student health services with a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus. They provide medical care for current BCIT students year-round. We have counseling and student development department, and as well as a recreation service department with a fully operational gym. Those are just a few of the student supports that we have. Additionally, please don't hesitate to contact program advising if you have a question or are unsure of something. We can answer questions regarding entrance requirements, the application process, student resources, success strategies, and program schedules. Bavina is here on the session today, so we can actually ask her live any questions that we might have. But if you remember something later on, then you can reach program advising by telephone, email, in-person, or virtual appointments. Just go to their webpage, bcit.ca/advising, for the most up-to-date contact information and service hours. If your inquiry is time sensitive, please call during their telephone advising hours. This is the best option to get your questions answered quickly. I highly encourage you to start following BCIT Health Sciences on the social media platforms listed here. This is your opportunity to learn more about BCIT and your field of interest at your leisure. Great stories are regularly being shared, and these platforms can assist you in making a well-informed decision about the career you choose. This next slide is Lauren's email address and the program advising email. This slide deck, the video links, and a recording to the session will be emailed to you next week. So please don't worry about writing any of this down or rushing to screenshot. There will be a full email with everything that we talked about today sent to you. I'd like to open up the floor now for anybody that might have a question for Lauren, our program head, Bavina, our program advisor, or Jennifer, our associate team.
I do encourage anyone that has maybe not checked out our website fully to take a look at the frequently asked questions page as part of our P&O program page. We've collected all of the questions we received over the last few years and have whittled them down to kind of the most common questions that we receive about our program. And so I think you'll find many of the answers to maybe questions you do have, or maybe questions you haven't thought of yet. So I encourage you to take a look over there before applying to the program.
And Bavina's put that link in the chat. Bavina, did you have anything to add to the presentation, to the program advising piece, or the student supports?
No, I don't have anything additional to add, Julie. Thanks.
That means we covered everything. Great. There is a question from Abby. How many students are allocated for admission per province?
Yeah, so it can vary each intake. Our current makeup of our cohort, for example, currently we have 5 seats allocated for BC, 3 for Alberta, 2 for Saskatchewan, and 2 for Manitoba. And then we have 2 seats that we've kind of determined are flex seats, which will go to the next 2 most competitive applicants after those first 12 seats are selected. As I mentioned, there can be changes to this depending on kind of the structure of the program and seat allocation. But as I mentioned, as of this current cohort, that's what we have.
My university offers separate classes for human anatomy than human physiology. If we were to take both, would this satisfy the 6 credits for human anatomy and physiology?
Will I answer
Yeah,
that? Oh, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it should, but in program advising, we actually have a list of acceptable courses towards the anatomy and physiology. And so if you email us at program_advising@bcit.ca, we can make that confirmation for you.
We don't appear to have any other questions at this time. Please feel free to post them in the chat or just take yourself off mute. Until then, I'd like to thank Jessica Armstrong, Jennifer Elliott, Babina Goradia, and Lauren Schubert for presenting, and everybody that attended. We do have one more question. If I am currently doing courses but will not have finished them before the application, how would I include these in the application?
Yeah, I can tackle that one. So it's a good question. So if you have not yet either completed your undergraduate degree or are currently taking courses that might be relevant to the program, for example, some of those preferred courses that we outlined, then they won't yet be included on your transcript, or if they are, they might just say in progress. What we'd like to see is that they're completed by the end of kind of that winter term. So by the end of May. And we'd like to see that a statement that they're in progress. So either showing up on your transcript as in progress or a separate letter from the admissions department or from the registrar's department at your college or university to state that you are currently taking those courses.
I'd just like to add to that there is a midterm grade submission form that students can have their instructors fill out. So that helps our department here determine how strong you are in that subject area as well. And I'll put a link to that form in the chat.
Thank you. We have a question from Chris. How similar is this program to George Brown's program?
Yeah, great question. So there is only one other accredited program in Canada, and that's George Brown College in Ontario. So, I mean, I would say from a very broad perspective, both of our programs teach the essentials of prosthetics and orthotics content to be able to proceed to a residency and then pass the certification exam. I can't speak in too much detail about George Brown's program, but I would encourage you to kind of take a look at their website and take a look at our website just in terms of determining some similarities and differences. There are differences in the course structure, kind of how much time you'd spend on various different topics on a weekly schedule, as well as, different opportunities for practicums and placements. So take a look at I would encourage you to take a look at their website or reach out to me if you have specific questions about the details of our program.
I don't think we have any more questions at this time. I will stay on the line, and I think Lauren will too, for a few more minutes in case anybody wants to talk, ask questions, has any comments. We'll be here. But again, thank you to all the presenters and thank you to everyone that took the time to attend this session.